Well, hello my darlings, and welcome back to our channel. I am so glad you are here. Today we are going to be creating a bridal sash. I sure hope you'll stay tuned. For this project, you will need some fabric flowers, any color, any shape of your choosing. You will need some bridal trim, any shape, any color of your choosing. You will need some satin ribbon. And of course, you will need your handy dandy tools. Today, we are working with a tape measure and some needle and thread. Let's get crafting. So the first thing we are going to do is unravel our satin ribbon, and we are going to measure it according to the size of the person for whom you are making this. I am making this for my daughter, and she has a 23-inch waist. Of course, we are going to need some overlap if you're going to be making a bow, or if you're going to be using another way of closing this, perhaps a hook and eye or perhaps some eyelets. But however you choose to close this, you are going to make sure that you are leaving enough overhang to accommodate your bride or your sweet 16 or your debutante. So now that you have cut the desired amount of sash off, what you are going to do is on both ends, you're going to fold your sash in half, and you are going to cut from the outside in a triangular form. What this is going to do is give you the telltale end of a beautiful ribbon. So once again, you're cutting that ribbon in half, not cutting it in half, sorry, folding it in half, and then you're cutting from your corners up so that you can get that beautiful end of your bow. Once you have done that, you're going to take a lighter and very carefully, as you can see, I just burned mine a little bit there, you are going to just flit the edges ever so gently to make sure that that sash is not going to fray in any way. So now that we have cut our sash to size and we have detailed the edges, what we're going to do is once again take our measurement, because what we're going to do with that measurement is we're going to cut that measurement in half to ensure that where we put our first flower, it is going to be in the center of our sash. And so using my daughter's measurement of 39 inches, I cut hers. The half or the midpoint of that 39 is going to be 19.5 inches, I believe. And once you have found your placement, we are going to take our needle and thread, and we are going to begin to tack this flower onto our sash. Now, what I'm going to do with this flower is I am going to tack it in a square pattern on every 4 corners, if you will, of this flower. This flower is very thick, so I'm using my silicone finger glove to help me. But as you can see, I am going in and I'm making my tacks as necessary to attach this flower to my sash. So that was one corner. I'm going in once again and I'm tacking in another corner, pushing it through. I'm going to turn it again to find the third corner. I'm going to tack it here. And then I'm going to find my fourth corner, tack it, and then I'm going to go back to the first stitch that I made. And once I have done that, I don't know if you'll be able to see because I'm working with white thread on a white background. What I would have in essence created is a square with my thread. When I get back to my last, or rather my first tack, I'm going to make a stitch, I'm going to knot it, and then I am going to cut off the excess. So as you can see, our first flower has now been attached to our sash. So I am going to continue this process off camera with my other two flowers, and then I'm going to come back to show you how we're going to attach our embellishments. So here we have our sash with our 3 flowers that have been added to it. And what we are going to do now is attach our trim. Now this trim that I have has 7 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, in the essence of making sure that our sash is centered, I am going to be placing 3 points on one side and then 3 points on the next side. So here you have 1, 2, 3 that I'm going to place on this side. And what I'm going to have to do is, of course, take my scissors and cut off the excess, making sure to bury the end of the sash, the end of the trim up underneath my flower. So making sure now not to cut my sash, but just cutting the trim. And of course, if you cut trim, you know that where you cut, if you cut where some of those beads are attached, you will lose some of them. But for the most part, you will not lose a lot. You'll just have to be careful of where you're cutting. And here, as you can see on the other side, I have my 3 points here as well, and I have anchored it under the white flower on the other side. So now that we have decided where or how much of our trim we are going to use, it is now time to tack it. So as you can see, I am very carefully picking up my trim and my ribbon at the same time, and I am going to now tack this trim down. Now what we're going to do here is going to be a little different from what we did with our flowers. With our flowers, we wanted to be sure that the weight of the flower would have been supported on that ribbon, and so this is why I opted to go around in a continuous tack to make that square so that it would have supported that flower. What we're going to do now when we are tacking our trim to our belt is we are going to tack a part of this trim one tack at a time. So I just did the first one right there. I just cut off where I knotted it. I am trying to knot my thread again at the end where I cut it off. Now that my now that my needle has been prepared to go again, I am going to turn my sash over, straighten my trim, find where I'm going to tack it a second time, and go in, pull it to make sure that that thread has been engaged with the trim and the sash. And I'm going to make yet another stitch. I'm going to knot it, and then I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut off the excess. So what you're going to do here now, so that you're not having a bunch of thread behind your sash, you are going to go in one tack at a time, tacking down your trim wherever you feel most comfortable in doing so. Now with this trim that I have, I'm going to tack it both at the top as well as right on the bottom where it starts to almost fall off of the sash. But I'm going to, of course, continue this process off camera, and when I'm finished, I'm going to come back to show you what our finished project looks like. Well, here you have it, my darlings. Our bridal sash that we created using, of course, different mediums, but looking at it, you will never stop to think that this sash only cost about $7 to make. I kid you not. The roses each were 99 cents. When you think of your sash, you're thinking of the satin coming off of a roll of a certain amount, so you have to prorate that. And of course, your trim, a half a yard of that trim, especially if you're buying it from one of the big box stores that offer their coupons on a monthly basis. You can get your trim for 50% to 40% off. Then why not? I know that for some people, creating and making your own is not an option. But when I think about how much, when I see these sashes in stores, how much they charge for these sashes, my answer to that would have to be no. And so here you are, my darlings, our beautiful sash that we created with purple and white roses. A little applique that is beaded, of course, and this is absolutely stunning on my daughter. She is fashioning for us the dress that she wore to her sweet 16 6 years ago. I cannot believe it, but this sash complements her dress just beautifully. And I think I would have to say, my darlings, that yet once again we have nailed another project. And so, my darlings, if you have found any value in this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as leave me a comment in the comment section below. We would love to hear from you. To my Danny's darlings, thank you for the love, the questions, the comments, the feedback, the encouragement. Please know that none of it is wasted, and I appreciate each and every one of you. To those of you who, however, who may not yet be Danny's darlings, or who possibly just happened upon our channel today, kindly consider joining our ever-growing community of DIYers as we learn from and craft with each other on a weekly basis. We would love to have you. And if by chance you so choose to subscribe to the channel today, please also be sure to click the notification bell to ensure that you are made aware whenever any of our videos have been published. Well, before I leave this video today, I would like to leave you with a motto to our channel, which is simply this. Say it with me, my darlings. Why buy when you can DIY? And so, my darlings, my loves, until next time, I say to you, please, please, please take care of yourselves for me. Know that I love you all. Bye now.